Brothers and sisters, I hope you're well, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon when, as you know, we're going to be talking about the future of New Life Church. I wanted to communicate with you before that to share with you some of the change that's gone on in my own thinking over this last couple of weeks since finding out about Giles and Lauren moving on. My initial thoughts were that we needed to meet together as a church, and that I needed to be prepared to share with you as many options as are reasonably possible, so that when we come together, we're not dwelling in the land of the clueless, wondering where do we even start with the conversation, but we've got something to chew on from the beginning. And so then I met with Giles and Grenville to talk about these options and possibilities, to get their feedback. And what happened is, the more we talked about it, the clearer it became that it would not be wise for us as a church, when we first meet together, to go straight into talking about what are the options, what is it we can do. And the reason for that is, it occurred to us that actually there's a more important question for us as a church to be clear on and to answer together, so that we make the right decisions. And here's the problem: if I was to present to you the options that I had in mind, we would then leapfrog the more important thing very easily and choose one of the options, and we'll have missed a great opportunity that we've got at this time. In fact, I really believe with all my heart that the Lord has brought us to this point so that we think about some critical and really important issues for us as a church. When I say issues, I don't mean negative ones, I mean important values for us. And it's those it's answering those more important questions that will then define our future as a church. So what is the more important question that I think we need to think about first? What is the church? Not what do we think the church is, or what is the church to me, but what is the church? And now that might seem like a bit of a waste of time sort of question. We all know what the church is, but you know, that's an assumption that we can make, and we could very easily, if we're not careful, make a big mistake here. For example, it would be easy that when each of us think about, should we continue with the church, that actually we're not thinking about the church so much as a Sunday morning service. This is just an example, okay? We might be actually thinking about, can we continue a Sunday morning service, and confusing that with the church. Now, a Sunday morning service is not the same as the church. And our ability to do a Sunday morning service is not the same as, can we continue as a church? They're not the same question. And so I want to make sure we're asking the correct question. And just to illustrate that point, the validity of that point, just imagine Christianity was completely outlawed in the UK from tomorrow, so that there's no church across the whole country that's allowed to meet publicly. Would that mean, just because we can't do Sunday services, that the church is finished now? Of course not. We all know that, don't we? Yet when we think about the future of our church, we can slip into thinking actually about a Sunday service. And so I want us to make sure together, I believe the Lord would have us do this, to think carefully, what is the church? What is it that we're going to continue? What are the essentials that we're going to continue if we're going to continue? And then after that, we can begin to think about what shape we might take as a church. So I think we need to ask that question, and you'll see very quickly that it's not as obvious or as simple to answer as you may initially think. Now, just to bring this message to a close, there's two other things that I wanted to share with you, brief things. Number one, I want to share with you my own conviction at this stage, and that is this: I do not believe that the Lord, in calling Giles and Lauren to go to Ferndown, is a signal to us and our church from the Lord that it's time for us to close. I don't believe that is what we should read from this situation. The Lord's given a number of encouragements and assurances that make no sense whatsoever if He wanted us to close. So that's my conviction, and that means I'm actually quite excited about what the future holds for us. I believe it will be actually a bit easier for us, whatever we do. I don't think the Lord's going to make things harder, and I also believe the Lord's going to be doing something, and so I'm quite encouraged about that. The second thing is this, that we've got some time. As I spoke with Giles and Grenville, and we thought about them moving, realistically, we sort of reckon that Giles and Lauren will not be leaving within the next sort of 6 or 7 weeks. It takes a bit of time for a move to actually happen. And Giles and Lauren have talked about this, and they kindly offered to take care of the children on a Sunday morning over the next few weeks, so that we can take more time to talk about this really important issue. And so we obviously we want to express our gratitude to Giles and Lauren in making that really kind offer. We really do appreciate that, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of all of us. Not that we're going to be wanting them to go out every Sunday morning, but we almost certainly won't need it every Sunday morning, but we appreciate that option and that availability. So let's be open, and on Sunday morning we're going to be working our brains and talking and thinking carefully then about what is the church, what is it, if we're going to continue, what is it we're actually talking about continuing, what does it mean to be the church? It's a really important question for us to answer. I look forward to seeing you Sunday.